morning, Dirtfish Rally friends, and welcome to Rallyday at Castle Combe in the beautiful Wiltshire countryside in England. Is that where we are, David?
Absolutely. And who's sponsoring Rallyday this year, Cole?
Sponsored by Dirtfish.
Yeah.
Dirtfish, listen, this is now the UK's premier Rally Day. Since we lost Rally GB, this is the place to come every year to get your fix of rally cars across the generations. What is magnificent about today is you get to wander around this, what would we call it?
It's autumn, that's what's magnificent.
He loves it because it's nice and cool. You get to wander around the paddock, you get to see the cars up close and personal, not just rally cars, but road-going cars, homologation specials. There are some beautiful Lancias over there. And then you get to watch the cars on the stages. 2 stages here today, and there'll be cars going around those stages all day long, David.
And it's literally, like you say, Colin, it's down through the ages. You know, you've got Subaru Owners Club somewhere, but then also we've got all of the Vauxhall here, you know, all of the Forenzas and Chevette HSRs, and it is just a great day. It's a great way to start the weekend.
And it's just such a wonderful, relaxing day. You know, everyone is here to appreciate the cars, to talk rallying, and it's a great day to meet rally
We've
people.
definitely said it's a great day.
Have we said it once or twice?
We might well have done.
Now, this is an interesting car. This is a really interesting car. It's a very, very rare car. It's a bit of a unicorn when it comes to cars. It was the last of the, what were these, David? The Group?
It was still a Group 4. It would have been a Group 4 car, wasn't
it? It was the last of the 2-wheel drives, really. This project was a project that stalled with the introduction of the Quattro, didn't it? And the 4-wheel drives.
I'm sure it was Stuart Turner, wasn't it, that came in and this was Ford's equivalent of Lancia's 037.
And it was a fantastic car. 5 of them apparently still in existence. One here, our boss Steve Rimmer's got another one over there. Malcolm Wilson's got one. So the question is, where are the other two? Where are the other 2, David?
Where are the other 2, Colin? That's the question. So where are we going to go? Where should we start?
I think we should just have a look along here. Oh, Krzysztof Holowicz. Didn't we see quite a bit of him in the World Rally Championship?
He
used to do...
do you know he was managed, and I think you may have said that wrong.
What is his name?
It's a Polish name. It's quite
Holowicz.
I'm not sure.
I used to pronounce his name an awful lot at the stage ends, David.
But do you know who managed him personally? Do you know who managed him?
Yes, the boy who managed Chris Atkinson. David, don't leave that gentleman hanging.
Sorry.
He's just rude, isn't he? He's just rude. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Who managed him, David?
Carry on, buddy. So Paul Turner, Marco Martin's manager.
That's who I meant to say, and Chris Atkinson's manager.
Yes. So you were right.
I was right. And this one here, David, fantastic looking machine,
isn't it? This looks like maybe the car that Ryan won the British Championship in. Yeah. Mitsubishi did make some beautiful Group N cars, didn't they?
I do love the way these cars are turned out.
Right, we're going to go down through the stalls and back up. Let's have a wander down here.
Quickly wander down here. Let's have a look at what's in the... As David said, there are car clubs, lots and lots of car clubs. The Peugeot Car Club, there's the Subaru Owners Club, Mitsubishi.
Loads of Lancias over there.
Lancias over here get me really excited. I mean... You know, you see a Delta Integrale.
Would you buy? I told you that one was for sale.
You did.
£70,000.
Huge money. Huge money. I was talking to a guy next door to me who owned one, and he was talking about selling it for 25 grand. That was 3 or 4 years ago. Right, you see this Hillman Imp? Have a look at these. I have never seen a Hillman Imp convertible before.
Andrew Cowan, the most famous driver of a Hillman Imp.
My granny used to have one.
Is she more famous than Andrew Cowan?
My granny used to have a Hillman Imp, and she loved a little Hillman Imp. You don't see many of these around these days,
do
you?
Do you remember the McRae stages?
Yeah.
Where all of the superstars came over. Andrew Cowan drove a Hillman Imp.
He did, and I'll tell you a little story about that, because he only just had it ready in time. He looked around the world for the chassis, and he found an old chassis in New Zealand. He brought the chassis over, and they spent weeks preparing the car. It was ready the night before the McRae stages. It ran at the back of the field because it was how many horsepower? It was less than 100 horsepower.
Look at this, Elliot.
But he drove it brilliantly.
This is what we love. People who come back to Rally Day year on year. That was a great year, 17, remembering Colin.
Fantastic. Let's head across this way because the Subarus, David, look at these things. Oh my words. The RB, Richard Burns.
RB5.
Wow. Look at that, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them.
I've got to say, my favourite was the P1, wasn't it?
Right.
Which was essentially the...
Oh, we're being pointed by Elliot in this direction. Now, see that car across there, camera boy? Elliot's. See this one across here with all the livery on it and the number 5 on the side?
Yeah.
That was my company car. I drove, not that one.
With all the livery?
Yes, oh my goodness me, all the livery. Apart from the fact, so I took it to ProDrive, to get it done by the
You should
proper...
just explain a little bit why that might have been your company
Yeah,
car.
okay. Well, we sponsored ProDrive. So I took it to ProDrive and they liveried it up with all the livery. But the guy forgot to bring these two swooshes with him. So I drove around the whole time with the Subaru without these two swooshes on it. But it had everything else. And it honestly, every time you stopped for fuel, there were
you've
people
just got to
taking
look.
pictures.
I mean, this is just, somebody is an absolute proper fan here, aren't they?
Yeah. There's some great stuff.
Collins
there, really
balaclava there, and just
wonderful
incredible
memorabilia.
pictures.
Yeah. Great car.
Very cool.
Great car. That's a great car as well, isn't it? The wagon.
This is definitely the Colin area, isn't it? Somebody's done
Citroen,
some great
the Zara.
work on a Zara there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Really
Colin
nice.
would remember that car with a huge amount of fondness, though.
How many times did you drive it?
He
Was
did
it
a
the first-
season, he did 03, didn't he, in
Yeah.
the Citroen. And should have won Finland. That's brilliant, isn't it? Look at that, the screen, the picture there. Wow.
Derek Ringer looking a little grumpy in that, isn't he?
Not for the first time.
No. This way, Elliot. This way, come this way.
So see, I'm sure, do you not remember the P1?
Yes,
There must be a P1 here somewhere.
must be one somewhere. But these cars here, I mean, they are totally evocative, aren't they, the Lanciers? It gets you going. You see one on the road and you stop and you look at them, and look at this display of Lanciers.
But these, look at all of the RB320s as well. That's just gorgeous, isn't it?
You've got to say, that's a heck of a lineup. He's got
Look at the
his
number plates here, RB7.
Stu Doddy RSC. They sound like Scots boys to me. Oh, David, you can't go wrong with an Alfa Romeo. If
Or
you
an
can get it
Alfa
started.
Romeo can't go wrong.
If you get it
Do you
started.
think that would start
This
now?
one's seen a little bit of action, isn't it?
Yeah.
A little bit of action, but yeah.
So
Oh my
this
words.
was our friend Andrea Adamo was running this team. This was I'm not sure that's
Giovannizzi.
that's not a super touring car, is it, Elliot? No, definitely not.
Elliot's
It's
kind of going.
not.
Now, an Evo 2.
Beautiful.
Beautiful car.
On every level, look at the speed lines.
But the value of all of these cars over the past 2 or 3 years, they've doubled, if not trebled in value. They
If
get
I-
rarer and rarer.
If I had 70 or 80,000 pounds, I'd spend it on that.
2 years ago, you could have got one for 25, maybe. Look at that, it's beautiful display.
That's a 30-year-old car, Cole.
Yeah,
How is that?
I don't know. It's a 30-year-old Italian car.
Yeah.
How is it not a pile of rust?
Sorry to our Italian friends.
Let's wander this way. Let's go
So
and look at them.
this is proper Group A though, isn't it? So we've gone from Group A Lancia Deltas over to, look, I mean that, perfect, Galant VR4. You never used to see those on the road.
Wow.
That was so,
I
Harry
can see
Vatanen.
Stratos hiding there, David. Look at that Stratos hiding there.
Yeah.
Tell me about this Galant then.
So the Galant obviously it was Mitsubishi's first four-wheel drive Group A car.
Wow.
Four-wheel steering. I'm not entirely sure the four-wheel steering thing
Four-wheel
actually.
steering?
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that was before its time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure it actually worked though.
Well,
I'm
no
not
one
sure they
else
actually
got
did
it.
it. But I remember vividly watching Harry Vatanen and who else would it have been? Pentti Ricola won the British Championship in a Group
Wow.
N1. Beat
Wow.
Colin McRae in, what would that have been, 89, something like that?
He knows. He knows an awful lot more than I do. Look at this. You can
And
try
then
get your-
obviously
what do you
Pentti
call
then-
these kind of stalls? You call
Stalls.
them- like a jumbo.
Pentti won the RAC in that, didn't
Did
he? In 89.
There you go.
Yeah.
I love this. You can get your now. Andrea Adamo would love this. Take a
No,
look
he
at this
wouldn't.
here.
He wouldn't
look at this
because-
here. Look at this here. Come look at this.
He
Now,
wouldn't, Cole, because you've got
if
to...
I knew-
He wants to make them.
I've just watched this driving past with a Mark 1 Escort on the back of it on a trailer. It's parked over there somewhere.
Should we go and have a look?
I don't know where it is. I think we should go and have a look at our cars first.
Let's go and have a look at the cars.
So, as we said, Rally Day this year is presented by Dirtfish, and we're very fortunate to have our owner with us this weekend, Steve Rimmer. And Steve owns an awful lot of these cars up here. So I think we should go and have a look at Steve's cars, don't you, David?
I think we should.
He owns the car that everyone wants to see out on the track, the wonderful Audi Quattro.
Volvo Amazon.
I'm a big fan of Volvos. I'm a big fan of Saabs. I haven't seen enough Saabs this weekend yet.
No.
Have you seen any?
I haven't seen one actually yet.
No, I'm yet to see one as well. Do you think we've got anyone we can chat to
You
up here
seen
as
this
well?
Nicky
David?
Grish Toyota?
Wonderful. Is that Nicky's? I did wonder.
It's Nicky's. It's an ex-Carlos Sainz car. But
Beautiful
this is just one of the best things about Rally Days. You've got a championship-winning Group A car parked next to a Triumph. Was that a Dolomite Sprint?
I don't know what it is. Tell us on the windscreen. Dolomite Sprint, yep. 73. There you go.
John Bloxham driving.
A little bit of history as well.
Yeah.
RAC Rally, a little bit of history there. So we're getting towards the proper rally cars now, aren't we?
They're all proper rally cars.
Well, they are, that's true. That's very true. What did you think of the little S2000 cars? Is that an S2000? This isn't it, the Persian?
That's a 208 T16, isn't it? That's an R5 car.
Is that the R5?
Yeah.
Right, that was the one that was a little bit
Terrible.
troublesome.
Yeah, no,
very fast but very unreliable.
Yeah, no, it wasn't Peugeot's best rally car.
No.
Oh, I always like this though, just Bastos colours.
What was the Peugeot the same as? It was the same as the Citroen, wasn't it? The original Citroen? One of them? They were both more or less the same. They were both equally troublesome. Now, here we go, David.
Look at this. See if we can just jump in here. One of the most amazing things about this car.
David's feeling confident. When you said jump in, did you mean open the door?
Yeah, look at this. Come jump in here. So you can see down there the straps on the co-driver's footrest. That's literally to hold the co-driver's feet in place.
Is that right?
Genuinely.
Because of the G-forces and
exactly,
the latros and all the rest.
They literally couldn't keep their legs in place, their feet in place.
Wow. Why don't we see that more often then?
Maybe they've got stronger feet these days.
Maybe.
Stronger legs. Yeah, I don't know. Ex-Tommy Mackinnon Nissan Sunny F2 car.
Morning, how are we? Good to see you. You want to have a chat with Mr. Higgins?
Or should we do this first?
We'll do this first. We'll keep going. This one I love, David. Now, would our friend Adamo appreciate this car?
I think he would, but you never know with him, do you?
No.
He's a temperamental beast.
He is. He
But
is.
this, you know, for me, if you were British, you had this one, or a Mark II, RS 1800, or if you're Italian, you had a 131
It's
Abarth.
the liveries that are so evocative, aren't they? You know,
Tell me what's unique about this car, Cole.
Which one? Which one? You asked me a question.
What?
Yeah.
It's not unique now about this car, but what did they do with this car?
Yes, they did. They did. They really did. It was very unique at the time. It was quite innovative, David, at the time.
But it only lasted one rally.
Remarkable, really.
They put Christian Geisdorfer sat in the back. Yeah.
Wow.
To even up the weight distribution.
Wow. How does that work? You would get really car sick doing that.
So if you go back to the 70s, late 70s, early 80s,
yeah.
Which do you want? RS 1800 or 131 Abarth?
That's just such a difficult thing, isn't it? That is such a difficult thing.
I always wanted the 131.
Could it come in that livery?
Yeah.
I'd have that. I'd have the 131, yeah.
It was just a little bit more exotic, wasn't it?
Exotic. That's a good word.
Yeah.
Whereas the Mark II Escorts, it's a little bit
we saw them every day on the road, didn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we did.
Exactly.
And then we really can't walk too quickly past this.
This has got some history, right?
This is the car that Henry Toivonen won the 1980 RAC Rally in.
Wow.
So the car that, I mean, before then, Toivonen had been there or thereabouts, hadn't he? But then it was an incredible result.
He'd gone through a lean patch, hadn't he? Toivonen, you remember Henry Toivonen for just being such a flamboyant driver, and he struggled, didn't he? There was a part in his career where he kind of burst onto the scene early and young, and everyone thought, yeah, this guy is the next world champion. And then he struggled for a while, and this was where he kind of basically came back and said, don't forget. And from then on, it was just stratospheric for him, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And
there's Steve. Are we going to have a quick word with Steve? Are we allowed a quick word, Steve?
Anywhere, Steve?
We're just talking about some of your wonderful cars, Steve. Really? It's just an absolute joy to see you here. Folks, Steve Rimmer, our owner at Dirtfish, and the man who owns an awful lot of these cars. Steve, can I ask what's your favourite to start with?
Do I have to have a favourite?
You do. Everyone has to have it. You have to. It's illegal not to. Top three now. David's
top three.
David.
Number one's got to be the Audi. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, it's so iconic, and having seen them in the day. I think I'm a Ford guy as well. Yeah. So the RS 200, the Blomqvist car is, right up there. Yeah. Remember watching it on the RAC and other places. And then I suppose if I had to have a third one, and I hate to put it in third place, this car has to be way up there. It's so iconic, and sad that we lost.
It's the pedigree
Henry.
With these cars, isn't it? Some of them, and it's the stories that the cars can tell that really attracts you, and really you can have an affinity with the story as well as the car, can't you?
Absolutely, yeah. It's people, right? It's people. It's what you remember. It's what you grew up with. It's who you saw what point. And I always talk about growing up in the north of England in the Lake District forests or Kielder, but I remember seeing the people, and they were so. I don't know what the word is. They were so approachable in that day.
And you know what? That's something that's really obvious here today, isn't it? It's wonderful, and we have to say a massive thank you, Steve, to yourself for getting involved with Rallyday. We don't have Rally GB anymore. This is the #1 rally day in the United Kingdom, and Dirtfish are sponsoring it.
Yeah, I mean, proud to be here and proud to be able to show the cars, but we are a little bit sad in that way right now. Obviously I live over in the US right now, but coming back here and being able to put something on like this for people is great, because there's not much opportunity. There's not as much opportunity as people would like, I think, put it that way.
And it is part of the unique attraction of rallying, these kind of events. And do you know what? It's not far removed, is it, from the service park, in that you can wander around, you get to meet the characters, you get to meet the celebrities of rallying, and you get to meet the cars. It is so unique in motorsport, and it's just, again, one of those parts that really draws people into it.
But so different than my day. I mean, you see it now when you go on the rallies, and COVID's a little bit different. I remember you guys having to fight your way through to try and get into the service park, or I saw some photos.
Other side of fences, let us in.
Does that rule really apply to me? COVID's not something that really applies to me, so.
No, it doesn't. But we were just talking as we walked up here. There's a great, just a sort of snapshot of history here. So you've got an RS 1800. So late 70s, early 80s, or you've got a 131 Abarth. You may have already answered this because you're a Ford guy, but I said to Cole, we saw these on our, obviously the RS 1800, we saw Mark IIs every day in Britain.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing the 131, and it was just a bit different. So which would you go for? Back in the day, back in the late 70s, early 80s, which would you have gone for? If you were allowed to take a ride through Kielder in one car, which would it have been?
It's got to be the Ford. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, David. There's obviously some Italian blood there in you.
No, I think it is. It was just something
a little
different.
Bit exotic, Steve.
Yeah,
it's the exoticness
exactly,
to this,
Or
You
Sandro.
can tell. I mean, look.
Where is Sandro?
Obviously. But I think you're right. I mean, the chance to go with Roger Clark or somebody like that in one of these would have been pretty special.
But also, I hesitated to answer because it's exactly that, though, isn't it? It's not just the car. It's the driver. So
Yes.
Marco Allen, was always somebody who's like,
yes,
you
stars
look
in the eyes with Marco.
and the finish element. You could have, you've got Hanu in this, in the day. You know what car is usually in the showroom at Dirtfish.
Yeah.
Admittedly, not the original one, but I suppose if you recreate a car, that's probably something that was important to you.
And it was incredible to think that Hanu was there as well. Drove
Yeah,
that
exactly,
car.
exactly.
Let's take a little
And
wander
Bjorn
along.
as well.
Yeah.
Let's take you mentioned your favourite car, and I think, Steve, a lot of people come to Rallyday just to see this car. And I have to say, Craig Breen drove it last year. Tell us a little bit about this. Tell us about the pedigree of this car and the uniqueness of this one.
Ooh, I hate to do this, especially when it's recorded, because I'm going to get it wrong.
No. But it can.
So this car, works car. First driver in it was Hannu Mikkola. He actually didn't drive it in a WRC or a World Rally round. So he won the rally immediately before the Thousand Lakes, which was the Mansa rally.
Which you can actually see online. You can see on YouTube if you Google it. You'll see this car competing in that event.
So
He did a rally in America, didn't he? He did the, was it the Olympus rally? Or was that the year after?
The year after.
Sorry.
Yeah. So not with this car.
Sorry.
But they say, Steve, this car.
Well, not that I know of. If he did, it's worth more, even more than I thought it was.
But this car, they say, is the most original Audi Quattro in existence.
Well, I'd love to think it is, because it did the one rally there, and then it sort of got, basically it became a test car. So it went back into the Audi system. Test car didn't have that sort of really hard life of all the other competitive rounds. And then I think if I understand it, remember it correctly, David Sutton had his hands on it for a little while. And then Hanu bought it from David And I think there's a story to be told behind that, but that's for another day.
As there often is.
But Hannu ended up with the car, and ultimately got his arm twisted to sell it to Juha Kankkunen.
Wow.
And it rested in Juha's collection for a long time, from where I was fortunate enough to buy it. And my good friend Max Girardo, as normal, had a hand in it somewhere in the middle. But it's a car that's also Stig's also driven it. He and Hannu shared it on a couple of demonstration events. So when you put that history behind the car, it's hard to repeat, isn't it?
It is, and it is possibly the most iconic rally car ever made.
And the best thing about these cars, and this car in particular, is it's literally those seats they sat in.
Yeah.
That steering wheel that they held on to. It's remarkable. You can't help yourself now.
I can't help. I've got to look at the seats now.
But we were fortunate enough to have, again, we've been so lucky with these cars that Hannu, I got to know Hannu's family a little bit as part of it. So it's not just the drivers themselves. It's actually knowing some of the families, and that's what the cars have done. For me, that's so special. That is amazing. Is I've met some fabulous people, and families of drivers. The McRae's, and as I say, Hannu's family as well through this. It was awesome.
And yesterday we arrived. Excuse me.
Okay,
a bit of a misfire there, Cole. So we arrived yesterday we arrived at a circuit yesterday, and there was a noise, wasn't there, as we drove in? What's that noise? Yeah. And you were just bedding the brakes in. You'd put some new pads and discs on the front of this. What was it like out on the circuit? So
I was fortunate enough to go up the hill in this at Goodwood with my son James driving it up the hill. So that was a moment. That was actually the first time I was in the car. And then yesterday, Ian Gwynn needed to take the car out because we actually the front discs we had to have some remade. There aren't a lot of what around, so we had the disc remade, and we needed to go out and bed in the pads, but we weren't doing anything stupid in it. But it's just raw power, And I think you've been in it, David, haven't you?
I have.
Have you been in it?
Yeah. So with Max Girardo, with Girardo and Co, they make an incredible Christmas film every year. And I think 2 Christmases ago, the Christmas film involved this beautiful car with a Christmas tree strapped to the roof. When we were filming that, or when they were filming that, obviously brilliant Ian Gwynn driving it, and I got to ride a little bit in the passenger seat, in the co-driver's seat.
Wow. Shall we wander along?
Yep, shall we?
I didn't mean to interrupt you guys. I mean,
No.
Very, very glad to have you here.
Steve, RS 1700Ts, we know where 3 of them are. There's only apparently 5 left. So one came out the back of a truck up here just 5 minutes ago. This is yours, which is beautiful. Malcolm's got one up at Dovenby Hall.
Yeah.
Do we know where the other 2 are?
I know where one other one is.
Oh.
So I know where 4 of the 5 are. The other one actually is close to home in Portland, in the US.
Just down the road from Seattle.
There's a gentleman there. I won't mention his name in terms of privacy. He's got an awesome story around the Group B collection. Of spending time on his honeymoon. He flew into London. He picked up an RS 200
on his honeymoon
road car. Plus,
what a wonderful wife he's got.
Plus an RS 200 Evo. He shipped the Evo back. They took the RS 200, drove to Germany, picked up his short wheelbase Quattro, and sent the RS 200 back. Drove to Italy. Picked up his Delta S4. No. This is true. Sent the Quattro back. Drove up to Paris on the Champs-Elysees. Picked up his Citroen BXT, whatever, and then went to Peugeot and picked up his T16.
That's
a good honeymoon.
Anything south of that is a disappointment now.
Yeah. A little bit, but I've got to say, Steve, you mentioned the Citroen there, the BX. Is it the BX?
BX4TC.
Yeah.
Now, you've got some beautiful cars, and you have a lovely car collection, and we were very fortunate to spend some time looking around you, and 205s are very close to my heart. But my favourite car in your collection was the homologation one. It's just so ugly, it's beautiful. It is the Gerard Depardieu of homologation cars. You know, huge long beak in front of it. It just looks incongruous, but there's something enormously beguiling about it.
Yeah.
Because it's French and it's different.
But I don't know what the heck they were thinking about because it might be different, but it's different in the wrong way. Like,
well, the story is that it was 500 homologation specials. The car did 3 rallies in the WRC. That was then pulled. They then bought back or tried to buy back all of the cars they sold.
Yeah.
So they now are almost, again, these unicorn status. This one's special though, Steve, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is, for me, is one of the most underassuming rally cars we've seen in the 21st century. There's not an awful lot extra on that. But in that livery, with that name on the side, those names on the side, that is a heck of a special machine.
Yeah, and actually amazingly easy is the wrong word to drive, but it's something you could jump into and drive. Yeah. I'm not saying drive it like Colin did or anything like that, but you can just get into it, just drive it. It's very drivable, and it's a car that Colin crashed. What a surprise! So we can edit this car. No, it's the one that he put into a tree in Corsica. So it was, it's been rebuilt, but it's kind of unique in that because of that, it didn't follow the normal path of works cars, which go down from the A-list driver to maybe the B-list driver in the team to then go out into the privateers. So this one didn't do any of that. So really, Colin's the only guy who's driven it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But what amazes me, you look back at these World Rally cars, and you're quite right, Colin, it's completely unassuming. Yeah. And the Subaru's the same. You can't, the silhouette, you can't actually differentiate that between that and a road car. Okay, the rear fin, the spoiler a little bit, but it was one of the most successful periods in the sport's history.
Well, and it's so different than today. I know enough technical to be dangerous, but I had Paul Howarth, ex-pro driver, is here with us, and I was talking to him about what's really important today, and his comment is aero.
Yes.
And this car doesn't have that much aero. That's what we're saying. It looks very very much like the car that came off the production line. But today's cars don't look anything like that.
So absolutely not.
When we look at the technology here, there's a huge amount of technology inside the car, but the technology today is as much outside the car as it is inside the car.
Yeah. Actually, there's way more tech.
There's more in this car.
With three active diffs in here.
Exactly,
There's a lot more than you get today. Shall we move on, Cole?
Just a couple more cars to go. And it's what's really great about the cars that you've brought, Steve, this week. It's such an eclectic mix, isn't it? And it really is, from that magnificent Audi to, for example, the little Renault 5 here. You
can't go past this, though.
Well, I can't, but I know nothing about it, David. That's why I'm going past it.
Well, this is Freddie Dorr's car, an ex-Freddie Dorr car. And the best thing about Frederick Dorr, who's a very, very wealthy businessman, I can't remember it.
Shipping and real estate,
But just the most unassuming. Hey, what?
Not doors.
No. No, you wouldn't be the first to make that joke.
I thought you said Freddie the Door.
So, but lovely guy, but always ran his cars completely white.
No sponsorship.
So
I did hesitate when you asked me an earlier question about favorite cars.
Yeah.
I love this car. This car is side pipes.
Side exhaust. These gold rims as well.
Yeah, and this car, as you quite rightly say, Freddie Dorr was a privateer. But I think if you look at ProDrive and talk to ProDrive, and how many cars he actually bought from ProDrive, he was the money behind developing the Ferrari 550 race cars. The ProDrive series. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So Freddie Dorr actually has played a huge part in developing a lot of things, and ultimately, he's very unassuming. I believe I've never met him, but he's very low key. Hence, no decals, no sponsorship on the cars. But this is one of the very few, I can't remember the absolute number, but I think it may be less than 10.
I've got to say, just one M3 story. So I never really got, I'm not a big BMW fan. I never really understood M3s at all. And obviously Bernard Began came and won Corsica in '87 or whatever. But then still, it didn't work for me. I was still a Sierra Cosworth. It had to be that whistle and the bang and everything. And then Patrick Sniers came and did the Manx in maybe '89. And there was Tabaton in Lancia Delta, Sniers in one of these, and then there was Jimmy and everybody in the AGM. Thank you very much. And suddenly, you know, we never saw these cars apart from on the RAC, and then you saw them, and I didn't go on the event, but I watched. Literally, it was one of those videos that you watch and watch and watch, and the noise of this thing. And there was you remember the hairpin in Portugal with Colin on the road?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Who was it? It may have been Sniers or somebody, but the noise of that thing. So he came the same way that we come down the hill, square left, and he was completely sideways. All the way up the road, it was sideways, and then chucked it into the hairpin right. It's a beautiful sounding car, isn't it?
It sounds, this car, I think, it's going on the stage, I think, today.
I was going to say, are we going to hear it and see it today?
Yeah, I think so.
Fabulous.
So you should get in it, David, because this one is awesome. And now it's working properly. It's even better. It just had a little gremlin, which it's only taken us 4 years to sort out.
Steve, I have to say a very big thank you. Very, very big thank you for obviously being involved in Rally Day today, to bringing your magnificent cars here, for telling us a little bit about them.
Delighted to be here.
Thank
it's good
you
to
very
be
much.
Home.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and the sunshine came out. You know, maybe that's what you guys bring to things.
Sunshine's come out. It is almost the perfect day for David Evans. The sun's out, but there's a little autumnal chill in the air, and the jump.
Way too hot now.
Steve, thank you very much
great.
indeed.
No, appreciate
we'll catch
it.
up with you again later on.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Cheers.
David, there we are. Folks, listen, it is a wonderful, wonderful day. We've said it many times, we'll say it again. You get 10 or 12 hours.
Let's just have a quick walk up, Cole. Sorry to interrupt
I was
you.
wrapping up there. Where do you want to walk to?
Let's have a quick walk up and just see the new part of the stage.
Okay, come on, let's go and look at the stage, because it's not just here's our man Robin. How are you, sir?
I'm well.
Good to see you.
So for the
Looking
first
exceptional. I
time,
love your outfits.
For the first time this year, they've now got 2 Legend stages. Legend stage was introduced a couple of years ago, Cole.
This is really important, David.
What's
the
that?
catering is open.
The catering
is open.
Yeah, bacon sandwiches, second breakfast is on offer.
Yeah, well,
so this is where the stage starts. What we have now is just essentially track sessions.
This is the other thing you can do, can't you? You bring your car down these car clubs. They can pay a little bit and they take their cars out for a quick bomb around.
But then the really exciting bit is the lunchtime Legend stage. As I say, it was introduced a couple of years ago. And this year we've got 2 Legend stages. So there's one on this side of the circuit, and then there's one, I forget the corners that we go down to on that side. But also new for this year is a little bit of grass, Cole.
Yeah.
So they're going to come down here.
That could all get rather messy later, couldn't it? Could get really messy.
I think we're good with the weather today. If it was pouring with rain, we'd be worried. So they're going to come down this grassy bit here and then back into a split junction here.
That's quite bumpy as well.
It is quite bumpy. It'll be quite lively down there.
It could be quite lively.
But this whole thing, the morning builds until lunchtime.
Until lunchtime. I have to tell you that I was here last year, and by lunchtime there'll be 20,000 people here. There'll be a great crowd and there's a great atmosphere. I saw Craig Breen in Steve's Audi Quattro coming along this little narrow section here, and there's a couple of chicanes further down just to slow the cars down. I wouldn't have believed it was possible to take that Audi through the chicane as nimbly as Breen did. It was absolutely magnificent to watch.
It wouldn't be possible for you to do that.
No, it would because I'd be driving in first gear, and it probably wouldn't go around in first gear, to be honest, would it? David, anything else you want to go and look at?
No, well, everything, Cole.
Everything.
But I think we need to go and get a bacon sandwich. And start watching some cars.
So hopefully that's given you a flavour, folks, of what Rally Day is all about. If you can get down here, tickets still available on the door today. If not, put it in your diary for next year, because it's an event that is well worth coming to. David, you're going to be doing 1 or 2 other little bits today. You might well see those on Dirtfish later. Little feature interview with perhaps 3 times British Rally champion.
Yes.
Or is he 2 times or 3 yet?
No, 3.
He's now 3 times.
Matt Edwards, yeah, we're looking forward to seeing Matt
And you might have
Edwards later.
noticed a few little faces in the background. Paul Howarth was there. Ryan
Grist,
Champion,
we just saw Nicky Grist.
Simon Hughes was there, used to be a
You
regular.
almost forgotten Simon's name.
I almost forgot his name.
Disappointing.
Almost
Sorry,
forgot his
Si.
name. Thank you. Yeah, there are some. Obviously, we've got Elvin's dad, Gwyndath.
Gwyndath.
Yeah, Elvin's dad now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, slightly role.
Yeah, not
role
Gwyndath's
reversal
son.
there.
It's
Exactly.
Elvin's dad.
People to talk
Yeah.
to. So we'll catch up with them later on, and you'll see those little videos on Dirtfish later on. Thank you very much, folks, for just joining us on our little walk. It was a very casual, enjoyable little walk for us.
Not
Hope-
necessarily too informative all the time. It was around the
it
late
has its
80s.
moments. You know what's most important is that you see these cars. What you can do is if you see a car that you really liked, go and Google it. Find out the real history of the
And
cars.
then email Colin.
And then email me and educate me. Thanks for joining us this morning,
Yeah.
folks. We're off to enjoy the smorgasbord of rallying delights.
I thought we were going for a bacon sandwich.
Then we're off to enjoy the smorgasbord of rallying delights that is Rally Day, brought to you this year by Dirtfish.